5:31 VI.
It is 16 minutes past 7 o'clock for Thursday, the 25th of September. Burnout, low pay, and the sense that no one's listening. That's how thousands of early childhood teachers describing their working lives right now. A new report from the education union NZEI paints a pretty stark picture, with nearly 1 in 3 saying they've thought about leaving the sector altogether in the last 6 months. Comes at a time when major reforms are already looming. So what's gone wrong, and boy, who's to blame? Joining us with all this is Labour's Labour's Jan Tinetti. A very good morning to you.
Good morning, and I am the early childhood spokesperson.
Yeah, I needed to rephrase. Look, I want to go there first with the early childhood survey or report. I mean, what do you make of it? Any surprise?
It's not a surprise to me. I go around quite a few early childhood centres at the moment, and I've been doing that for quite a number of years now, and I am concerned about how we've got a workforce that is more and more demoralised, feeling more and more burnt out. Many of them telling me that they're just not there long term anymore, even though they enjoy what they do. And I'm just really, really concerned about what's happening in that space.
I'm reading some headlines back in 2023, for example, when, of course, the last Labour government was in power. I mean, education, early childhood workers were saying similar stuff to what they're saying now. I mean, what's different for Labour in terms of what would your point of difference be?
Yeah, so it is getting worse. It is something that in that sector, it is a completely... it's a very, very complex sector. People might think, oh, it's very easy to understand early childhood. It is not. It is an incredibly complex sector. And we have so many different forms of provision of early childhood. And one of the things that we announced in 2023 was a funding review. And the funding review was really looking at the fact that the way that the complexities of how the sector was funded at the time meant that we were never going to get that goal of pay parity, and we needed to look at a different way of recognising and valuing our teachers to get pay parity with the rest of the teachers in the education sector. Now teachers don't feel that that's achievable under what this government's doing with their funding review. I think we need to take a new look at early childhood. We need to look at how we value that sector, how those first 2,000 days in a young person's life, which, let me just translate that means to about 5.5 years, the first 2,000 days, how they are absolutely critical. We need to look at an integrated approach. We need to look at how we fund that. We need to look at how we recognise and value those skills of those teachers. So there's a lot that needs to happen in that space, but I really think that it's about time that any government made sure that early childhood had their place in the sun, and that's something that I'm absolutely committed to making happen.
Sure. I mean, what would Labour, and I just want to perhaps push back on that, I mean, what would Labour concretely do differently today that some, in ECA would have felt you failed to deliver when you were actually in government?
Actually, that's a really good question, William, because I was there when they made this announcement or presented the report yesterday. And I talked to the early childhood teachers who were at NZEI's annual conference. And I said, look, one of the things I think we tried to do too much, we went in and we thought we got too crowded in the sector, and we got too crowded in the plans of what had to happen. So we need to prioritise. And this is, if I was doing it as of today, this is what I would do. I would make certain that we concentrated on getting the pay parity right. I would make sure that I concentrated on getting the areas that are causing the biggest burnout, like the ratios, right, and listening to the sector, because the sector has so much information to be able to tell us where those ratios sit. It's not government, it's not officials, it's not people in Wellington. It's actually the sector that can tell us the right ratios that need to happen. And that can then inform how we fund the sector, how we fund the teaching part of the sector. But there's another really important part that I think sometimes goes under the radar, and that's ensuring that that's what we were doing with the High Needs Review, making sure that that is enacted, that every young person that needs learning support gets that learning support first off when they hit the education sector in their early childhood years. That would make a big difference to our early childhood teachers.
Let's shift our attention just very quickly to the Mood of the Boardroom survey out yesterday from the New Zealand Herald. Business leaders say Chris Hipkins risks making Labour invisible. He got a 2 out of 5 rating. Hardly a resounding victory. What do you make of it?
Well, I think when you're in opposition, that's always going to be hard anyway. If I was the government at the moment, I'd be more concerned that the Prime Minister and the Finance Minister had such a low rating. But people are looking for a plan for the economy that they're not getting under this government. So we are going to be starting to roll out our alternative plans soon. We will keep rolling that out into the election year next year. It's fascinating to me that at this point in the election cycle, people are looking to us for that alternative plan because they are feeling frustrated at what they're seeing at the moment. We've still got over a year or maybe a year to go to the election. They will start hearing from us this side of the Christmas break, but again, that will start really rolling out. I can tell you that I'm very excited where the policy platform is landing, and I know that New Zealanders will be as well.
Well, with that being said, give us a wee bit of a hint. Is it going to be extremely progressive or centred?
No. I told you a little bit about where I'm thinking of early childhood, but I've got so much more in that space. But there's a lot that's coming out. And gee, that would be a career-limiting move for me if I wouldn't help me out at the moment.
Policy announcement today, here right now. Hey, look, okay, fair enough. But as you highlighted, people are looking for answers and they're looking to Labour. What do you say to them when, perhaps they're like, where's the message? Where's the vision?
I think, like, as I said with those early childhood teachers yesterday, it's concentrating so that they can get a sense of where our values lie. And I was able to yesterday be able to point to areas that we're looking to work on. And I kept saying, I'm not going to give you an answer right now, but this is where our values are. This is what I'm working on. I want to hear from you. And I know that in any of my spokesperson roles, that people really appreciate that and know that we're taking this seriously, but also know that we're taking their input seriously in the process as well. So it's really important. I keep saying to people, don't think that your voice is silent here, because I really want to hear and listen to people and what their viewpoints are in certain areas as we're finalising up the policy at the moment. So, yeah, people are lining up to the values of where we're heading.
Let's shift our attention. Our Foreign Affairs Minister, Winston Peters, he's at the United Nations this week. We're set to get a decision, apparently, on whether or not the government will recognise Palestinian statehood or not. In some ways, it almost seems theatrical that we've got to wait to the UN for him to deliver a speech. What do you make of it?
Look, it's this government, Christopher Luxon's government, has been too slow to act. I'm horrified with what I see, just like every other New Zealander at the moment. We must, as a country, and this government must do more to put our stake in the sand that leads towards that global plea to end this unfolding genocide. It's got to call for an immediate ceasefire and recognise the state of Palestine and influence the sanctions on Israel, introduce the sanctions on Israel for the illegal occupation and violence. It is too slow. They've made a decision around the recognition. Be transparent with New Zealanders. We're calling out for it. Everybody that I'm speaking to is calling out for it. We hate seeing it. Is just the most heartbreaking thing to see what we see every single day.
Is it unanimous across Labour Party caucus to support a ceasefire or to, recognise Palestinian statehood?
Yes.
Okay. Good to know. Let's shift tack now and just want to get your take, or Labour's take rather, on the new skilled migrant visa pathways. The government is opening a new pathway for skilled migrants, but critics say this risks undercutting wages and worsening housing shortages. What's your take on it?
Look, there's always those things that we need to take into consideration, and it is any time when we've got the changes to the immigration policy and the migrant policy, there is that balance that you have to look at around the undercutting of wages and the infrastructure that we have here in this country. But we do know that employers have been calling out for some support in the area. It is an area that we try and get as much bipartisan areas as we possibly can. At the same time, And I know that our immigration spokesperson Phil Twyford does this incredibly well. At the same time as trying to give that support, we have to prosecute it really, really well. And so there's some things in this that we will be looking into and delving into a bit more, particularly around that. And this is where it crosses over into my workplace relations portfolio, that we're not undercutting wages. When we have people coming here, that they have to be coming here on good wages. They have to be coming here that we look after them well, that we have that pastoral care, that moral responsibility to it. We can be broadly supportive in the space, but also making certain that we're holding to account at the same time.
This is a bit of a technical question, but investors, for example, only need a lower level of English proficiency compared to tradespeople who actually need a higher English proficiency. What do you think that sends from this government in terms of, do they care more about those that bring in capital than actual labour workers?
Yeah, now that is a side that we don't agree with, and where we or broadly don't agree with. There's some real issues there that, looking at those English levels, for example, there's some work that needs to be done in that space, because it's not even reflecting the diversity of our country that we have here right now. And when you're saying things like that, yeah, it does send a wrong message, I believe, and it sends a wrong message about how we value different demographics of people. I don't like that. Personally, I don't like that, and that doesn't fit with our values either as a party.
And just finally, the government's trumpeting earlier this week a $413 million upgrades for schools. Look, on the face of it, it sounds good, but I mean, how much of it is actually new?
Well, it's quite not really.
Yeah.
So I had a wee chuckle at this, because this was a program that was well in place and was being rolled out when I was minister, but prior to me when Chippy was minister as well. And it was going to be rolled out to all schools, all small schools in the country. And then this government stopped it when they came in. And basically the money was there, and so a lot of this money was actually money that had already been tagged for this particular program. So there'll be schools that will love the announcement. Of course they're going to love the announcement, but they've already been stopped. So this stop-start approach is hurting the economy and is completely out of touch with what New Zealand needs.
Labour's early childhood spokesperson Jan Tinetti, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you. Lovely talking.
Likewise. You're listening to